Yo, what's up guys? D-Cell here, back with another counter-side video, and today I want to talk about Lee Sooyeon, more specifically Awakened Lee Sooyeon, who is the next Awakened unit in Counter-Side Global. We're going to go over her skill kit, talk about where she's good at, what she's good for, and ask that all-important question, should you summon for Awakened Lee Sooyeon? But before we dive into the video, and hopefully I got this edited in time that this video comes out before I do my live stream pulls, over at twitch.tv/DCellGaming, I will be summoning for her live over there. So if you're interested, definitely come join me over at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv. And hey guys, if you like this video, do be sure to like it, leave a comment, even if it's just an emoji to help out with the algorithm, and consider subscribing to the channel. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and dive in, and if you don't know or haven't used pridewin.com, this is where I'm going to be pulling a lot of the information over. We're going to go over their analysis as well and give you my thoughts on this character to help determine whether you should summon for them or not. And if you haven't used this website, I will have a link down in the description below. This is without a doubt the best place for counter-side information. They have all of the information you need to know about rearms, awakened units, units in general, tier list, all that's here. They have a Discord as well, so definitely check them out if you haven't done so. So starting with her abilities, the basic attack fires a blaster inflicting AoE damage and around a target. In Gauntlet, aerial melee attacks additionally inflict damage by 20% of current HP, ship excluded obviously. So right away we can see she's going to be pretty devastating in PvP, especially when she comes out for the first time in Global. At level 2, 3, and 4, she's going to increase her basic attack damage, and at level 5, aerial melee attack targets healing amounts minus 100% for 20 seconds. That's, again, pretty crazy for PvP circumstances. And honestly, for very niche circumstances in PvE, that'll be good as well. Moving on to her passive skill, Ace Fighter Qualifications. Quickly enters battle and attacks all units when deployed. This is huge, by the way, especially for Gauntlet. In Gauntlet, additionally attacks damage on air units except for ship by 33% of their current HP. Grants all non-awakened ranger counters immunity to hit stuns from special or lower skills. Then as you level it up, she's going to get air damage up and air damage taken down. So she's going to do more damage to air units and take less damage from them. And then at level 5, the buff also adds 30% skill haste. So yeah, this is amazing for your ranger counters. Then her special skill is going to release her new strategic uniform arsenal wings, autonomous weapons. That is such a mouthful, Jesus. Instant inflicting AoE damage on and around her target, casts a barrier equal to 30% of max HP for 6 seconds, which this is the part of the skill that we really care about. Then it's going to get her damage up to 25% as you level it up, and at level 5, damage taken minus 30% for the barrier duration. So this is going to make her a lot harder to kill, because not only is she going to have the barrier, but she's also going to take less damage while the barrier's up. Then her ultimate is going to be Strike Code LSY. Combines her arsenal wings and reactive sword, inflicting AoE damage in front with their powerful energy. Grants immunity to hit stuns from special or lower skills for 12 seconds, after this skill. And as you level up the skill, damage will go up by up to 25% for the skill, and at level 5 reduces the cooldown by 6 seconds, and the buff will also add attack plus 15%. So yeah, this is really good because she adds a lot of hit stun immunity for special or lower skills. So if you don't know what that means, that basically means if it's a special skill or, you know, a basic attack or a passive or whatever, then they're going to be immune to it. They can still be stunned from ultimate skill level stuns, but they can't from special or lower. So it's important to know that distinction. So let's go over their analysis, and then I'll talk about what I think about the unit as well. So I'm going to highlight like the main things that I think is important to know about Awakened Lee Sooyeon. So first of all, she's a 5-cost Awakened employee. So that means she's going to have a lot higher stats than normal. She's going to be a really strong person that you can put in your team very easily, because being at a 5 cost means that she can fit into a multitude of comps a lot easier than someone that's, you know, 6 cost or even higher. So looking at what they say in PvE, she is going to shine in guild co-op. So she's going to be considered the best in slot character to guard ships against all flying units. And that's because she is amazing at anti-air damage, especially when she comes out, but we'll talk about more of that in a little bit. Shadow Palace floor 3. This floor is notoriously hard if you're trying to kind of just push your way through and you don't have a lot of air units. So having her with a bunch more air units in your team is really going to make that palace floor a lot easier. And then in relic dungeons against Adele, as similar to the Shadow Palace floor, you know, she's going to shine there because simply she's an air unit. She does a lot of damage to air. She does a lot of damage, period. And of course, any event where air enemies are common, as she can easily deal with them. One of the things that comes to mind here is if you're having trouble with Chloe's info search, she's going to help a lot with that because she can really kill those air units very quickly to get those debuffs off the rest of your team. So, and what they're saying here is basically that there always are alternatives to use. Now, she is pretty much must have in guild co-op because if you really want to push to higher level bosses, then you're really going to want her to guard your ship. You're really going to want her. But there's always people that can do her job, but slightly worse. So she's not necessarily must have in all of these PvE scenarios. Shadow Palace, for example, you can definitely get through it without her. Same with Relic Dungeon. But honestly, she just makes your life a lot easier. And same with Chloe's info search, like in stages with those. She can always pick somebody that can do her job, but just slightly worse. Now, one of the things that intrigues me about this website is they have pros and cons listed here. So let's kind of go over what they say. The Awakened Lee Sooyeon's pros. Air units quiver in fear once they see ALSY take the field. Now, I think this is a little wrong, right? I don't think air units quiver in fear. I think they just straight up die. Okay. If you deploy ALSY properly, the bulk of their like air units are just going to disappear off the map. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, it's not that they quiver in fear. They just get erased. And she is a low cost for an Awakened employee, which is very true. Being a 5 cost Awakened employee, I think she is the first 5 cost Awakened employee. If you don't count Lee Sooyeon as like the Awakened unit, because we got her for free, she is the first summon only Awakened unit for global that is 5 cost. So that's really good. And she massively buffed counter rangers in your team. That's very true. She can survive quite long thanks to her barrier and being an air unit. This is also true as well. I mean, Na Yubin, you know, with the barrier, maybe not so much, but for the vast majority of it, her being an air unit alone will really provide her with a lot of damage mitigation because, you know, a lot of units that do a lot of damage, like Xiaolin, for example, she's only going to target ground. So she is safe from, you know, more units than what ground units are safe from. Now, the one that caught me off guard here is Awakened Lee Sooyeon's cons. Now, really, I think the only con here is the first one listed. So let's just kind of go over it. She's not a fire and forget type of Awakened employee like Awakened Yuna or Awakened Sooyeon. You need to deploy her at the right moment. And this is very true. So if you're using her in PvP, you have to keep in mind that you want to let them kind of amass some air units up, and you're going to use Awakened Lee Sooyeon to turn the tide of battle because she's only a 5 cost Awakened unit. You're going to deploy her. She's going to wipe out those air units, and then you're going to get the upper hand, right? So for 5 cost, you can wipe out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 cost worth of employees, units, or whatever you want to call them. You know, she's just going to wipe them off the map, and then she can help turn the tide of the battle. Now, these other two I don't really find as cons. She's more of a PvP oriented employee, and I don't really think that's really a con, honestly, in my opinion, because like she's still going to be like best in slot for guild co-op. So she's going to be best in slot for guild co-op, so that's always something that she can do, just like she's always kind of going to be a threat in PvP. So just guild co-op alone, that means she's going to be really useful in PvE. She's going to be decent in like relic dungeons and, you know, certain stages of Shadow Palace, certain event stages. So she definitely has her niche where she's going to help you shine. So yeah, she's going to definitely be a massive PvP threat. But just because she's a massive PvP threat, I don't think she's a PvP oriented employee, if that makes sense, right? Because yes, she does do a lot of things for your PvP team, but she will help carry you in certain PvE instances as well. So I think she's really the best of both worlds in certain scenarios. Now, PvE, she is more niche than in PvP, so I'll give them that. And this last one here, countered by anti-air employees. And this one to me just makes no sense. Of course she's countered by anti-air employees because she's an air unit. The only thing that can attack her is anti-air units, people that can attack air and stuff. So I don't really get that one. Of course she's gonna be countered by them because they're literally the only things that can attack her. So, you know, I don't know. But I definitely think this first one here is definitely a con, because if you just try to fire her in PvP, like a fire and forget type of awaken, like they call it here, you're probably not going to get the results that you're really looking for with Awakened Lee Sooyeon. So with Awakened unit for Yuna, for example, you just deploy your defender and you put Yuna behind your defender and just watch her go to town, and you just largely don't have to think about when and where you're going to deploy your Yuna, you know. But Awakened Lee Sooyeon, for example, you definitely want to use her as kind of like a tide turner type of deal. So then, of course, they have gear recommendations here. I think you should go with the cooldown reduction, honestly. I do think cooldown reduction makes her more viable across the board, because then you can use her in PvE and you can use her in PvP, and she's going to remain viable for both. Obviously, if you can do it full maze set, skill haste, these are like gear recommendations, but in all honesty, for global players, you're probably not going to have a full maze set for her. So just shoot for a cooldown set, and then you can use her in both PvP and PvE. If you want to get hyper specialized for PvP, when the spectral sets come out, the spectral bullet set's going to be really good. That's really going to help her. You're going to want some anti-air subs for that. That way she comes out and she just is absolutely devastating for the enemy. So overall, my thoughts on Awakened Lee Sooyeon, I think as a 5 cost awakened unit, she's going to fit into teams very easily, especially when you're considering other awakened units. On top of that, she's got very good uses for both PvE and PvP. And in PvP, she's always going to be a threat. I do have a feeling she's probably going to get banned, like a lot. But that means she's always going to be a threat. So when she's up, you know, people are really going to be on edge, because she is always a threat that can turn the tide for you in PvP. So should you summon for Lee Sooyeon? And my answer is, I honestly think this is just like Awakened Yuna. I think she is such a good enabler for certain other parts of the game, especially like guild co-op. I don't think there's any reason for you not to at least try for her, because even though she's PvP oriented, she has amazing PvE capabilities. She has amazing PvE uses. So I think across the board, she is like definitely like a must-have type of unit. And since the Awakened pity does carry over, again, I think this is another situation like Awakened Yuna. There's really no reason for you not to try and at least get her, because if you don't get her, at least your pity carries over to the next unit. And if you do get her, then you have a really solid employee for years to come. But hey guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it informative, if you liked it, definitely hit that like button. And if you're looking for something like a gear guide, I do have one of those over here. So do take a look at that if you're interested. And with that, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.